TEDx for inviting me here and speaking on this occasion. So let me talk about energy transition and future trends. The topic today is new era. I think there are two things which will define the new era in coming days. First is artificial intelligence and second is climate change. These are two things which will go beyond our control. Artificial intelligence, basically we are creating autonomous and independent machines which may go out of our control and may decide what our future will be. So it is going to impact our life in a big way. Similarly, this climate change, one does not know where we are leading to. So to my mind, the new era is slightly undefined, and to me, I'm not very clear what is going to happen, but the changes will definitely happen. What is climate change and what are the factors which are causing it? Basically, it is the emission of greenhouse gases. But who is responsible for that? Whatever is happening today, whether it is a hurricane in Florida or a cyclone in Bay of Bengal or a heat wave in India or a cold wave in Europe, we generally say that it is happening because of the climate change. But why it is happening? The percentage of carbon dioxide in air has increased tremendously. From mid of 18th century, that is the start of the Industrial Revolution, it has now grown by 50% more, and today it is about 420 ppm. Sometimes people say that 420 ppm is something very less, but एक बूंद भी जहर का काफी होता है आदमी को मारने के लिए. तो ये कहाँ पर अपनी प्रकृति को ले जाएगा? It is very difficult to decide, and at least I am not aware where will it go. Generally, people start saying that who is responsible for it? So the coal is the first target. We say that coal should be stopped, fossil fuel, and in that coal, in all the COPs that we have discussed, they have talked about phasing out coal. But India has always insisted that it cannot be phased out right now, it should be phased down. We agreed for phase down in COP 28, and in COP 29 they have agreed that, in 28 they have agreed that fossil fuels should be brought under control. But will it happen, and when will it happen? And why it is not happening? The thing is, when we read the papers, it says that Europe has controlled its emissions, America has controlled its emission, but in India it has increased. Last year it has increased by 7%, in Europe it has decreased by 8%. But why? Are we more irresponsible than Europe? It is happening in America. USA, they have controlled the emissions because they have moved from coal to natural gas. Basically, most of the reduction or most of the control in USA has happened because of this. And they have called CNG as a transitional fuel. But do we have that type of fuel available with us? If we don't have, then what we do? Most of the Asian societies like in Asia like China, India, or Indonesia, we are struggling with this problem. Our energy supply is about 40% from the coal. So, can we close down the coal? Perhaps not. I would like to show you some slides. Please see, what is the consumption of United States in per capita energy consumption? It is 75.75 megawatt per hour. And what is the consumption of India? It is 7.56. So it is 10 times more than what we are consuming. What is the world average? It is 21.23. So we are 1/3 of the world average. And we are being blamed. Why aren't the people who are consuming more being blamed? Now the thing is, in India also, the states like Jharkhand and Bihar are consuming half of this level. So we are at the bare subsistence level. So our consumption is likely to increase. Whatever they may do, the consumption is going to increase. The second problem that is happening is basically we are removing the sinks for the carbon, like in Congo Basin or in the Brazil, in Amazon Basin. In the last 20 years in Amazon, about 54 million hectares of the land of the forest was destroyed. In Congo Basin, almost 6 lakh hectares of land, forest is destroyed. When they asked you, what are you doing, why don't you stop it? They said that by climate change, perhaps we will die in the future. But if we don't do it right now, perhaps we will die right now. So one has to understand that these figures have to change. You can't say that since we had started using it in advance, so we'll continue to do this in future as well. It has to change, and some parity has to be brought. If you see the per capita greenhouse emission also, India is 1.89, United States is 14.21, and world average is 4.28. So what's happening? Will the total greenhouse gas emission will stop? There's slight discrepancy because it is 20, 21, 22, 23, so it is not in the scale, but greenhouse gas emission is continuously rising. Only in 2020 there was a dip, and that dip was more because of COVID rather than anything else. So if this continues, where the world will go? What we should do, the immediate thing we think about is resorting to renewables. And in renewables, there are two things, which is, I think wind and solar are going to be the major supplier of renewable energy in the future. And world is going to depend on it majorly. So prices of solar panel prices of solar panel had continuously fallen down from 11.94 to 0.31. आज के दिन सोलर एनर्जी भारत में ₹2 में उपलब्ध है और दुबई वगैरह में ₹2 से कम में भी उपलब्ध है. When I joined Coal India, people said that coal-based power plants will become redundant once the variable cost of the energy from this coal will become higher than the solar energy or the renewable energy. Because the capital investment has anyway taken, so it will be compared with the variable cost of power. But this didn't happen. And despite all the facts, despite all the development that has taken place in solar and wind arena, the contribution of thermal power energy in Asia has remained almost constant at about 40%. And is it going to continue like that? If it continues, what will happen? So total renewable generation has increased in the world from 2,280 terawatt hours to 8,988. It is increasing tremendously, but where will it go? Will it be able to replace it sooner than what we are thinking? But there is one problem, that is the storage of energy. Unless we find the solution for this, nothing is going to happen. The cost of storage has come down from $732 to $139, but still, creation of that much of storage capacity in a very short duration is perhaps not possible. What are the storage systems we can think of? Thermal storage, that is molten salt, which can be used in many circumstances. There are the most important storage system still remains the mechanical system, which is pumped water supply. About 90% of the storage system in the world today comes from pumped water supply. But can it be ramped up further? The cost and the area required are the real problem. Lithium-ion battery we are talking about, but where will we get so much of lithium and chromium, etc., to meet this demand? We are talking about molten salt, but we are talking about hydrogen. But hydrogen, it is still very costly, and the energy efficiency in the whole cycle of hydrogen, producing hydrogen and using it again, is only 40%. So the solutions are really tough. But where will the world go? I don't know. The major challenge is managing the variability, that is intermittency in the renewables is a major problem, and how to deal with it is the storage system. But we have not developed very strong storage system as of yet. Second thing is the developing requirement of flexibility. We can generate solar power or renewable power only to the extent that we can reduce the production of thermal power. We have seen the variability in India. Last April, the difference in solar power, this renewable production was 55 gigawatt to 5 gigawatt. In the daytime, it was 55 gigawatt. In the night, it was 5 gigawatt. How to maintain the stability of the system in these circumstances is real challenge. Then mobility, trucking, aviation, and shipping, where the requirement of energy is very high and the distances to be covered are very high. In that circumstances, it is still a challenge to be faced, and world will have to face this problem. There are certain industries like steel, cement, plastic, and ammonia, which consumes a lot of heat energy. The power is converted into heat, and then it is being utilized to produce these products. We have not found very strong solution for this. So is the world very pessimistic? Is the things are going to be very bad? Perhaps we have to think in other way. Rather than thinking just from the production side or supply side, we have to think from the consumption side also. How to reduce this consumption? We are sitting in the air conditioners. In the winter, we want 25 degrees centigrade inside the room. But in the summer, when we are sitting, when the temperature outside is very high, we want 22 degrees centigrade. Can we make the life still comfortable with 19 degree during the winter and maybe 25 degree during the summer? Perhaps the things will change drastically. But why this is happening? Basically, in October or September this year, the rainfall was very good, the temperature came down, and because of that, energy consumption in country was less, but it affected our GDP. So we are worried about GDP. We think that GDP has gone down because the economy has slowed down. With this competitive development, this philosophy of competitive development which is defined by GDP, nothing can be achieved. We are running after GDP day and day, night, month and month, quarter to quarter. We compare each day now. कि कल इतना GDP था, आज कम हो गया, इसलिए हम परेशान हैं. And GDP is directly proportional to energy consumption. So if the development is defined by the energy consumption, then these things are not going to improve. But I am quite sure that world will change, and it will change very fast. I'd like to show 2 photographs. In 1901, mass production of the cars started. You see, I have taken it from one of my friends. 1900, in the Fifth Avenue, New York City, there was no car. It is all horse-driven. But in 1913, there are no horses. They are all car. So in 12 years, the world changed so drastically. Now the pace of the change is much faster. And it will happen. It will happen within the lifetime of all of us. But what will happen is perhaps undefined. We have to decide our future, and we have to take a corrective course. If we don't, then perhaps we will be moving in a very undefined direction. Thank you.